Another casualty in American soccer. Guys, rest in peace, San Diego Loyal. Now, guys, soccer or football, whatever you prefer to call it, in our country, in the United States, it's a little different than everywhere around the world. Or a lot different, actually. Um, our club teams are usually not club teams; they're usually franchises, and franchises are part of a bigger company. In this case, leagues like MLS or NASL or USL, all those leagues. So sometimes, clubs don't really make a profit, but they're still part of the league. They're kind of protected by league and its owners. That's pretty complicated how it works here. It's a little different. Definitely is different. A team could probably not make a lot of revenue, but they could still stay afloat because of the league. But anyways, sometimes unfortunately because of certain circumstances, some teams fold. They disappear just completely. Sometimes it's after many years. Sometimes it's after just a couple of years. Sometimes the teams relocate. This team once relocated to Houston, and we finally got our team back eventually. But in this case, San Diego Loyal, they're done after this season. After this 2023 season, they're done in USL. And it's really big. It's a damn shame that that's happening, because I've been down to San Diego recently, and they seem to have some really passionate supporters. Their attendance numbers are definitely in the top of USL, which is, a lot of teams pull in like 2-3K. Some teams, like, at the most, they pull in like 8 or 10K at the most, but pretty good numbers. They play in a stadium that's a college stadium. They do pretty good, and part of that statement is because supposedly they can't get a stadium deal, but honestly, what I believe, and I'm sure a lot of people believe, it's a new MLS team that's coming. So for those of you who don't know, San Diego is getting an MLS team that was just announced earlier this year, and it's not the Loyal. It's a whole different team that was bought by some. That franchise spot was bought by some billionaire owner from, I think he's from Egypt. I think I might be wrong about that, but this rich guy, he's really rich, and he's buying a new franchise, and they're starting a whole new team. And we've seen this happen before in MLS, and I usually kind of hate this because I like when there's an existing team and their ownership group or somebody, they kind of come together and they kind of bring that same team, and it's not technically the same team, but sometimes they're able to bring that team up from a different division, and they're in MLS, they buy a spot. We saw it happen with Minnesota United, who even kept the same crest. Technically, Portland Timbers and Sounders, same thing. But in this case, that's not going to happen. It's going to be a brand new team, probably San Diego FC or something like that. But yeah, Loyal's disappearing. They're not going to be a team anymore. And it is a shame because, like I said, the supporters are passionate. They get good numbers. It's a cool team, At first, I wasn't a big fan of the name. I thought it was kind of cheesy, but it kind of grew on me. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a team that's forming their own identity. And, when I heard that there was a possibility there could be a San Diego team in MLS, I was really hoping that it would be the Loyal brand, but it's not, obviously. So that does suck, and it's unfortunate, and it puts people like in an awkward place. And I kind of hate this kind of stuff because, people were building this culture and this love for this team, and then it's just disappearing, and they're replacing it with a new team with a lot more money and in the top division. So that kind of kills things, and I hate that at times. Like it kind of ruins, like I said, that culture. It's hard to create a culture when you're like, damn, this team came in to replace our original team that we put a lot of effort and support into. So it's really a damn shame. I was digging what they were doing down there in San Diego. I'm sure the MLS team will be pretty successful, but it's definitely not the same thing, when you do that, and it's really a shame. Like I was pretty bummed out when I heard the news, but can't do much about it. Obviously this new owner for the MLS San Diego, they want to do their own thing. They didn't want to be part of the Loyal, or maybe the Loyal. I'm not 100% sure how it went down, but it is a damn shame that they're losing that team. And the fact that they announced, like, just months after the MLS announcement, that they're not going to be able to keep operating and all that, it's a shame, man. And I've seen it happen to a lot of teams, all around the country, not even just in USL. We had Fresno in USL and a couple other teams there, but even like in MLS, we saw it happen with Tampa Bay Mutiny. For those of you who don't know, there's originally another Miami team, Miami Fusion, happened with them. So this stuff does tend to happen quite a bit in American sports. And like I said earlier, a lot of times these soccer teams are not financially viable. There's a lot of teams that are founded and they're playing like in the third, fourth, second tier of American soccer, which is pretty unorganized. But those teams usually don't last very long. They last like a year or two, and then they cease operations because they just can't afford to pay players or keep doing things, you know? So it's a shame. It's a shame that a team that looked like they could eventually become pretty stable, like it's a shame that they're disappearing. And, you know, we're getting another MLS franchise, which, you know, I have nothing against MLS. Obviously, I care about the league, but it is a shame when this does happen to the lower divisions, because I'm a big believer in part of our sport growing in this country is having those lower divisions, you know, rise up and become more competitive and produce players and have their own culture and do things a little differently than MLS does. So I'm a big believer in that. So it's a shame when this happens. And I would have liked for at least the Loyal brand to move up to MLS. You know, that would have been pretty cool. But that was never going to happen with these owners. So it's a shame, you know. And you know, it's just it's a shame, man. You know, it really is. Hopefully that doesn't happen as often. At least in USL, I haven't been seeing it happen as often. There's still teams that still exist, even with other MLS teams around. But I mean, this team they couldn't afford it, and I don't blame them, because they're hemorrhaging money, and it's going to be even worse once the MLS team comes by. Because even though they have some loyal fans, no pun intended there, you know, definitely some people are going to jump boat once the MLS team starts and go support them in the instead of the second division team. So that's just natural. It just happens, and it's a shame. But I mean, it's going to leave us wondering also what could have been. You know, this team was kind of doing something special in that part of California. Like I said, creating a culture, and, you know, Landon Donovan and I forgot who the other owners were. They were really trying, you know. So it is a shame to see that team go away. And I mean, I guess we'll just have to see how this San Diego MLS franchise does, and see what kind of name they come up with, and what kind of fan culture they create. Hopefully it's something decent, you know, but I would have really liked the Loyal to still be a team. And hopefully this doesn't happen with more MLS teams, which, like I said, it hasn't been happening as much recently, but hopefully, you know, USL teams could still coexist with MLS teams. And hopefully soccer in our country, in all levels, in all forms, hopefully it could continue growing, and hopefully we don't see this happening as much, because it's a real damn shame. And it really sucks when it's one of these teams that people obviously cared about. But anyways, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. And let me know what you think down there in the comments, and you all have a good one.